the end of the day, the best team's going to win. And that's just the way it is. Regency controlled to start us off. And for goodness sakes, Hive, do not give Xploidz the M-bar because you know what he can do with it.
You know what he's capable of, so we need to make sure that we take a look at how they play that original fight and really who gets control over that mid-map. I like this play. Putting INZEM in the 1v will slow Fearzly down in this initial. They're going to put Fire and Ice has actually put Toti, Xploidz, and Dyslexic to the bottom side of the map to play for that mid-hill and the nades. Fearzly, he gets a little overzealous, goes for that quick wrap shot, doesn't get the full chunk. Back A out from INZEM, gets the kill. Shocks are going to be picked up by Xploidz. Hive will have the respawn side of the map. They will have the situation that you need if you want to be able to take over that next hill. I think they're going to have to get a breakthrough right here, though. They're going to hope for INZEM to hit the same kind of shots that Powers did. Powers hit that first initial headshots that really just broke everything open. 2v1 in the middle of the map. I like that play from Fire and Ice. They rush the middle of the map. They know they have a man advantage there. And 2 straight kills come through for Fire and Ice. This should be almost a full entire hill hold for Fire and Ice.
Yeah, they're going to leave it on their own accord. I'm assuming player 3 might rotate down to just, kind of battle against player 7 of Xploidz. But in terms of this next hill, oh my goodness, good shot. But that's only one. He still needs a couple more. Player 6 is going to be there shortly, you'd have to assume. Two teammates kind of rolling around, and Hive will get 3 points, but it's not going to be enough. They need to bank off of a successful secondary hill, but already having to fight hard for it, as Hive did take that early side over here on the left, so it's kind of locking the spawns. Unfortunately, they end up losing it as soon as the hill starts to pop into place, and you can tell Hive is there, but Dyslexic picks up Solurs, the only remaining Hive member there. TJ's forced to back up, and Fire and Ice continues to get richer in points.
See what TJ does is he tries to rotate into that next fight. He tries to get a little bit closer to try to get an angle onto somebody, but he gets immediately killed and taken away from the map. This is a great version of Fire and Ice right here. These first 2 hills, the way that they've been able to stagger out some of these kills, force Hive off of their positions. 20 seconds until the new M-bar, and Hive is rotating away from it. If I am player 6, if I'm Fearzly, the points at this point don't matter. You have a big enough lead right now that you could sneak over and pick up that brand new M-bar to have it rotating into that next hill at the bottom left-hand corner. It's going to take a Herculean effort for Hive just to break into this hill, and they're getting shut down. This is what I thought might happen. This was my big fear with picking Hive, but this is what you have to. I mean, this is what you live and die with when you pick them. They either are Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. Right now, they're looking kind of weak. They're looking a little Dr. Jekyll out here.
My only concern with Hive is, Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Hyde, day in, day out. You never know what you're going to get from them. Come major time, when it's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Hive can't have inconsistencies. They can't perform very well on Friday during pool play, come into Saturday and, do okay, and then Sunday just drop the ball. Like, that can't happen. They're not going to be champions that way. So Hive has to find some way to be consistent. Then again, though, Fire and Ice has shown their inconsistencies in the past, and that was kind of the battle, right? The battle of inconsistencies. But this is looking promising for Hive. They do, in fact, get a good foothold to get this break. The only person they got to get through is going to be Toti. He's going to yeet out a nade, fall down to himself, and Demise is going to get the cleanup. So Hive finally going to get some much-needed points, and their setup should make it difficult for Fire and Ice to break through.
INZEM playing in the backside of the map now, has 6 shots with the M-bar, has a full 6 shots with the M-bar now. First one wraps out for the body, doesn't get the kill or the headshot. Now he's going to push back toward the top of the map. Solurs getting the down there onto Fearzly, trying to get the second shot in. Another body shot out. They've given up the shock grenade over to the side of Toti, but Solurs, picture perfect up top, has gotten that extra kill. Toti now rotating in, gets body shotted and chunked out by INZEM. That's what they were hoping would happen in that first or second hill. They'd be able to use him to get a bunch of these kills. Not going to be able to do anything in those hills, but has really answered for it here. And they have cut the lead already in half of Fire and Ice. It is now 60 to 113, and they are setting up already the backside of that next hill. And with 35 seconds to go on this new M-bar, they need maybe a couple of kills here to settle the tea kettle and try to get another respawned M-bar power weapon.
Hive is doing a good job off the past 2 hills rotating early. This is going to benefit them greatly. Something that Fire and Ice has, or at least has hurt them in the past, is their inability to rotate on time. They get so caught up in challenging hills where, you know, it might be over with. Get that early rotation. You kind of mentioned and alluded to that off the second hill where FNI might have benefited more so from rotating a bit earlier. If Hive can continue to work as a team quite well, call the rotations and have those be, you know, more on point than that of Fire and Ice, they could very well close this gap. In fact, they're already doing so. And FNI, you can start to see, you know, a little bit of individuality at this point. They need to start making pushes as a team, as a cohesive unit, because Hive is starting to lock it together. I think as a whole right now, from that mid game or from that, you know, early portions of the game to kind of now translating or transferring into the mid game, Colin, Hive and FNI. Hive has more better, I don't know, better teamwork, more efficient, I guess, from what I'm seeing. I don't know if I'm missing the point, but maybe.
I think it's just a difference of Fire and Ice was really good in their initial, their setup, the way that they took those first few fights. A little miss there onto Xploidz. Good little wiggle waggle out of him. Solurs has to make a decision here. Is actually going to try to rotate down to his teammates. 35 seconds left on this, and Solurs actually got out of there just in time before the rest of the forces from Fire and Ice spawned up. Solurs is full red. If he goes down, I don't know if you go for the pick. Nade over the top, gets the kill on one. The answer's coming back from Hive, though. One more player playing in the area, goes for the melee, doesn't get it to connect. It is up to Dyslexic, and this is what we talked about. Dyslexic, very good in these situations, very electric, very scintillating in the 1v selection, but comes out, doesn't hit the second shot onto Solurs, and doesn't get it down in that situation whatsoever. Isn't able to get those kills. Shock over to the back. TJ double bounce into the back A, gets the first kill. Now INZEM able to rotate onto the 90 degree, get the Lancer out, get the kill. Great retake from Hive in that situation.
That was a picture-perfect retake. You know, that shock on the backside, forcing one of the players out of cover. INZEM having that cross. That was picture-perfect. FNI set up early. Now they don't get any value from that early setup. Hive has the hill, and FNI is forced to once again fight back and try to go for a secondary break, even though they were the first ones to establish themselves. Solurs also has the M-bar to his name, too. At this point, again, Hive's teamwork is something that is going to benefit them more so than the slaying power of FNI, because we know they're you know, a hot, fast, crazy team that loves to get in your face. But that teamwork from Hive is going to shut them down every step of the way. And it's doing, or at least as of right now, it's paying dividends. Great stuff from TJ and Solurs. Solurs hits the shot. TJ's fighting inside the hill with Demise. Literally right now, picture perfect. Hive has closed that gap. They have the lead, and they don't look like they're stopping anytime soon.
I mean, we thought that, though, early about Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice had a commanding first part of this series. Right there, good little wrap shot out of Fearzly onto Solurs. 27 seconds left on this. Won't exactly get them to the 200-point marker, but just under it. It was 113-9 at one point. Answered back to 2 points to, I mean, 171?
Yeah.
172, excuse me. That's a lot of points in a row for Fire and Ice, but you see how Hive is trying to push back through the bottom of the map. They're trying to get this close spawn. Any kills they get allow them to force the spawn out from Fire and Ice. Good shock. It'll break this little retake early in this matchup. Nextil is going to spawn up here momentarily, but they're pretty much stuck here between a rock and a hard place because of the Lancer angles that Fire and Ice has set up right now.
And this is a hill that Lancer angles are critical and paramount. I mean, you really just have to bully your way through, and that's what TJ and Demise are looking to do. Great nade from INZEM, takes down Dyslexic and Toti. The door is wide open now for the boys of Hive to pressure in. It's going to be a 4v2 mismatch, despite Fire and Ice spawning on their backside. If Hive can establish themselves in the hill early on without losing anybody, those two players that spawn in the back of Dyslexic and Toti shouldn't have a big impact whatsoever. Toti and Dyslexic, though, will at least angle out TJ. Solurs needs to get back and get some assistance from his teammates. This needs to be a hold from Hive, and it's not going to happen. So I thought Dyslexic and Toti weren't going to have too much of an impact, but here they are, and yes, they do, and they take out the 4 members from Hive. Well done from them. And again, now Hive has to fight back. FNI's keeping them in check. FNI's going to close this gap. They're going to most likely be tied by the time this hill is done.
30 seconds into it, it'll be 194 to 170 something. They're going to have a few more moments other than that. 13 seconds left on the new M-bar. TJ waiting in the wings for it now. They're going to try to get this next power weapon under the control. Demise will go down here. Good little wrap shot there by Dyslexic to get that down. Dyslexic full red has to try to play this fight up now a little bit more. Next hill is this back Rose Guard. Kills coming through in a couple of different sections. TJ has to worry about Fearzly in front of him. The M-bar should be up. Solurs just picked the nades now. And I think Solurs is just going to try to rotate out with those frag grenades. Demise will have the new M-bar, and they're going to rotate top right through the top side of the map. They're going to have to go through a couple of players from Fire and Ice here. They've got to worry about getting flanked from that mid door, and they've actually pushed everybody into that mid door. Now Fearzly has to back up there toward Toti. Moments left. Flash is out. TJ gets the first back A to get the kill. Now it's going to be up to Toti to stop them rotating through the middle of the map. Shots out from the middle of the Rose Garden, but a frag grenade gets one kill. TJ with a second kill to his name. I know he's not going to get the cleanup, but he does get the down. He moves off and tries to get to Xploidz. Little misroll gets him killed. Hive, picture-perfect retake yet again, and I believe INZEM wants to try to kill off whoever spawns over here. But look at INZEM. He's now spawned between two players. INZEM has to skedaddle at this point, or he's going to give up the 4-3 man advantage in this situation. Demise rotating over. This is a big pincer moment for Fire and Ice. They have a chance to not just get kills, but try to get back into the hill right now. Big body shot by Demise, gets the shutdown with the M-bar. Now got to worry about the other two players behind him. They push up into the 2v1. Dyslexic is down. Shot grenade picked up by Fearzly and Taylor. This hill has been a war of attrition.
It really has been in Fire and Ice, so close to closing the gap. And they're also going to have their back to the new spawn. Matter of fact, Dyslexic will spawn up to the new hill. And Demise hits Toti going off the rotation, but you already know Toti's going to just respawn back where players 5 and players 7 are going to be at. So really no harm, no foul. In fact, you help Toti get to the next hill to pressure TJ back, who's now going to be in a 1v against that of TJ. TJ knows I've got to pressure into this. I can't wait for Dyslexic to get his health back up. This is great pressure from Hive. They're attacking the hill early. They're attacking the spawns early. If they can successfully win this, they're going to set themselves up very nicely for the last remaining portions of this game. They just have to win this 2v2. Dyslexic's going to be in the forefront, ready to run up, but in the meantime, one player is going to be down. Xploidz is being lancered out. It's still going to be a scrappy fight. It really is. Nothing is guaranteed. I don't know who's going to win this engagement.
I love the snub shots there from INZEM. It's going to continue to tap up a couple of players. They're going to be forced to make a decision here. INZEM, big shots over the top of the cover. The back A gets the first down. The L trigger gets the second as they roll in, and the rest of the Hive shut down every other player. Demise with 15 or 16 kills and 14 assists. He's got 30 some odd kills in this matchup, accredited to just himself. Full red, but he gets the M-bar, so there's no M-bar placement for Fire and Ice to pick up to try to use the retake. But I believe I saw that Hive has picked up Fire and Ice had the frags to be able to force Hive out.
Yeah, Fire and Ice throws the frags out. It's no avail, though. No connection. Fire and Ice still in the hill, fighting tooth and nail for this, just any amount of points that they can get. They understand the position that they're in, taking that little bit of a deficit to Hive. Hive, though, looks as if they're going to win this fight, and they do. So that's going to be, what, 20 seconds? 19 seconds going their way. Fire and Ice, meantime, knows, look, we got to rotate. They're going to be met by TJ and INZEM on the opposite end of the map, and this hill's going to be very important. It's quite honestly really going to make or break Fire and Ice. They can't afford to set up early like they're doing and lose this fight. They cannot allow Hive to make a break on this hill at all cost.
Dyslexic playing right up into the grill of those two players. Big body shot out on the first player. Gets him to settle down. You see Hive pulling back now. They know they have a few moments to kind of play around with their food. They have to be able to get a picture-perfect retake the longer they wait, though. The flashes are going to have to go long. Dyslexic plays back with the Lancer out. They go for the double Lancer. Double down onto him, but look at the answer back. Toti, Drake shot, gets the down. They get the revives off, but they're stuck there. 2 downs. Now a third one in and out. Xploidz has to push up and go for the kill. They separate TJ and Demise from one another. They settle down those kills. 40 seconds left on this hill. 245 will get him up to 280 or so. And a 30-point advantage over the side of Hive. One player waiting in the wings. That's Demise. Demise looking for the he's going to go on the biggest flank ever.
Yeah, Dyslexic is Dyslexic is there. That's going to take down one.
Big
Demise is also going to fall. INZEM and Solurs. INZEM and Solurs in no man's land. They just got to try and dip out. They're in just damage control at that point. Again, Fire and Ice off that last Calling, it makes or break them. And right now, it made them. Statue Hill is going to be, or Statue Hall now is where we're going to. This is going to be the final hill. Fire and Ice got a decent lead. They've got the M-bar. Now it's up to Hive. This Hive is paramount. They've got to get the break. But Dyslexic making life difficult with the connection on TJ.
Dyslexic, he's going to be settled down right here. INZEM trying to get shots on him from the 6 o'clock. In the middle of the map, we're going to go over to Toti. trying to win a 1v here against TJ. Dyslexic trying to rev up the M-bar, trying to get a kill. Fearzly backside of this map, trying to get a 1v win there on INZEM. He gets the win, and Toti gets the win. Solurs has the nades, but is getting lancered and shotgun down. Nades are going to be useless. One goes off, but it basically damages up. It damages up Demise. It allows for an easier shutdown of him. Fire and Ice, they give up almost 179, 180 points in a row over to Hive, but they answer back in quite amazing fashion. They roar back into it. What a map number one. 14 minutes, and what did I tell you? These maps were going to be close. I thought Regency was going to come down to the final few seconds. It didn't quite come to that, but it certainly did come down to who was going to have the stamina, and look at the damage done by Demise, 19K. But Fire and Ice, they share the wealth.
Yeah, and that's really good to see because, again, we talked about Fire and Ice playing together as a team, a lot of individuality. But that DPS, even though I was kind of calling them out playing as individuals and Hive coming together as a team, more cohesive unit, that DPS clearly shows that Fire and Ice was still shooting for each other, even if they might have been spread out more so than that of Hive, who was more often than not, tightly compacted, in contesting the hills, I think a little bit better. But what a roller coaster ride, Colin. Fire and Ice takes a massive early lead. Hive starts roaring back. They take an even better lead. And then Fire and Ice, after 2 successful hills, closes it out. Just, like I said, a roller coaster ride through and through.
Really, really happy with the performance out of both teams. Fire and Ice, I think, was just a lot more impressive. The way that Fire and Ice was able to play defense late in that game, we saw a couple of good retakes from Hive mid-match. But when Fire and Ice got to kind of stand up and you have a utility or have a power weapon of their usage, they were pretty much picture perfect with it. We saw a couple of frag grenades go errant for Hive, whereas every time Fire and Ice had a shocker frag, it located a kill or a couple of downs, and it was no bigger showcase of that than that next to last hill where we saw Toti throw that shot, get double downs with it, also using his Lancer to help keep those players packed up in the back, and it allowed Dyslexic to kind of get lost in the sauce, take over that mid hallway, and come out with a big kill after 2 shots, a big body shot in the down, and then they basically forced the last 2 players of Hive into no man's land.
But, I gotta say, though, I give credit to Hive for their retakes. They had some of the most impressive retakes, more so than that of Fire and Ice, in my opinion. So many coordinated pushes from Hive, but it was just those final 2 hills that ended up killing them in the end, and that was Fire and Ice, again, with the DPS. And setting up early, that was the biggest thing that I was pointing out. Hive was doing a great job establishing themselves early on, whether it be for the spawns or, of course, naturally being for the hill itself. Fire and Ice was kind of, lacking on that. I think the first start they had was, really impressive and great. But once Hive started establishing themselves for the spawns and the hills early on, they established a lead. They were beating Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice was having to push into them as opposed to Hive pushing into Fire and Ice. But off those last 2 hills, Fire and Ice set themselves up early and established themselves much earlier. And they did so 4 strong. All 4 members went inside the hill and made life very difficult for Hive. Dyslexic with that M-bar at the end was incredible. Him getting that connection onto TJ. In those final moments, losing any member hurts you. Going for a 3-man push instead of a 4-man push when you need valuable seconds to close out the game, you start sweating. The pressure's really on, especially when you have that cooldown, right? You have that respawn cooldown. But well done from Fire and Ice. They take a much-needed win over Hive in map number 1. We head into map 2. It's going to be Tomb Execution. What do we think we're going to be seeing here?
I'm actually going to be curious to see what we're going to see because I really feel like Xploidz is going to favor that long shot in the middle of the map. I'm not sure who's going to be the big torque bow player for the side of Fire and Ice. We have seen what TJ and Demise have been able to do in recent history with a torque bow in their hands when they were playing reactor control just last week. So I'm pretty sure that TJ and the boys from Hive might favor that torque bow push a little bit more. I'm curious to see if Fire and Ice have an answer for it, if they try to butt heads with them, or if Fire and Ice say you can have it. We're going to go for the long shot and the nades, try to set up toward the top of the map, get the verticality on you. It's going to be an interesting situation for me simply because I think these teams favor 2 separate style power weapons.
It's interesting, isn't it? 2 separate. So obviously that's going to be interesting how they kind of break up the map. You almost got to play Tomb default though, right? I mean, you have to at least send 2 players for the torque bow, or I guess not so much anymore, right? Because we've been seeing more so than not 1 player goes for the torque bow as opposed to 2. We had 2 in the beginning in phase 1, but phase 2, it's a bit different.
Broadcast. I thought this was our best chance to go to a map number 5. Hive needs to answer back though. earlier, much rather than later. For a moment, no, it was flashes. Okay, it wasn't flashes.
Right. I love this map. The graphics are just phenomenal. I say that every time, man. Really is. This and Ritual, I just love the graphics in general. But all right, Xploidz not being shy at all, getting down low under cover. He's gonna obviously be setting up very well for the mid fight and also for that snipe. Fearzly is gonna take down INZEM, and he's not gonna stop at this point. He's pretty much deep into Hive's territory. Dyslexic forced to back up. Oh, they thought it was gonna be a They thought it was gonna be a 1v2, brother, but Toti slid right in to help Dyslexic. That was a great read from Toti.
Like I said, TJ was going to try to play over that torque bow. Fire and Ice had the answer for it. They knew how to kind of disguise their numbers, hide their positioning right there so that they could come into that fight, even if it was a second later than the rest of the teammates for Hive. They could come into it, and they could really change the tide of it. They could get the extra damage in early and often and get those kills. You saw and you knew, you kind of saw the hand. You saw the desire of Hive to go for that torque bow with a guy like TJ. What answer are they going to have? Are they going to be able to stop Fire and Ice from being able to rotate however they wish in this situation?
Toti's still mid. Xploidz falls. That's a great opening elimination from INZEM and Solurs. That's going to give it, at least for, in my opinion, an opening for Hive to take this round, as long as they can just convert it. Dyslexic is going to pick up that torque bow, though, and Hive's going to just bring it down to only Dyslexic, 1v4, and this is not going to be a good spot for him to be in. Hive surely is going to tie this up, bring it 1-1. TJ goes for the challenge, and TJ will be successful in getting the elimination. We're tied up 1-1.
Hive, I think, did a brilliant job. That time you saw how they kind of played the tug-of-war game. TJ got lancered up pretty heavily there as he pushed into the torque bow. The way he was able to settle down, come back, get his health regened up, it allowed them kind of a secondary initial, but closer to the mid lane of the map.
2v2 fight, it seems, for the torque bow. This time they're just going to Lancer out. TJ's already down. Demise's no way! TJ falls as well. That is a disaster. He goes for the pickup, unsuccessful. And now the rest of the remaining Hive members have to just try and pop off. INZEM was one of them, and unfortunately he won't be able to. That was an absolute disaster of a start for Hive.
Disastrous indeed. Again, that's the risk you are willing to take. If you're Hive, if you want to play into that torque bow, you need a smoke or something to get thrown to try to disguise your numbers. It's a utility you don't have to stun somebody, but you ain't going to be red, and it gives you a chance to kind of play in that area. It allows you to play left, right, or center to try to stop players from Fire and Ice. This time, TJ settles down for just a moment, doesn't get Lancered down in that situation. We go to INZEM in the middle of the map, playing up against Fearzly. Misses the first shot. Fearzly trying to go wide on him now. INZEM not able to get a big brick there. Toti might actually rotate through the middle of the map to try to get the revive off. 2 big shots on and a double kill here. Dyslexic has to try to slide in to make that miracle happen. Not going to get it. Xploidz. He does exactly what we saw Hive try to do last round. He goes for the roadie run right into somebody to try to get the one-shot chunk. Won't be able to get it there. It's taken down 2-2, all tied up.
All tied up indeed, fighting back and forth. It's almost reminiscent of going back to, I think it was Canals, where we were kind of asking the question, you know, Team Queso auction, who's going to be able to chain together 2 rounds in a row? And it's much the same here. Who's going to be able to chain 2 rounds in a row? Well, we'll definitely find out at this point in time. It's obviously up to Hive to do so. Focus on Xploidz, who's been opposite of that of Solurs pretty consistently. Gets some great pop shots in, but you notice he also kept his shock. So that shock still in his hand. He's going to throw it out there. Solurs, though, unaffected by it, and Xploidz doesn't get the impact he wanted. Meanwhile, F&I continues to push members up, and with Demise falling, if Xploidz can pick up 1 here, this is going to be great for them, but INZEM answers back.
Now we see what INZEM is going to have to worry about here. You can see multiple players trying to pressure up. Xploidz is down, but Solurs and INZEM, last 2 players alive for Hive, trying to play their positioning a little bit better. They have to be worried about multiple angles coming in from Fire and Ice. They're trying to hope somebody gets a little greedy here. That's what they want, is somebody to try to push up. Toti looks like he rotates back, trying to go for a little bit of a wider angle. You can see INZEM and Solurs playing together over toward Fearzly now. Sniper picked up by Toti. Toti will get tagged up momentarily. Shots onto Fearzly, get the double shot down. Last down, Solurs bounces around, tries to stay alive as long as he can. Can't get either one of them, so he was at a 2v1 anyway, but once again, back over to Fire and Ice, and if he continues to go this way, it's going to be 6-5 Fire and Ice.
Yeah. You know, it never goes that way, but you're right. If it does, it definitely will go to the way of F&I. Overtime Hill's going to be up top, so that's something to keep note of if the rounds continue or at least extend itself out, which I don't foresee it doing with kind of how quick these rounds have been after all. INZEM trying to be that spearhead. Fearzly throws out some utility. INZEM takes a bit of an advanced position. Demise, though, really playing around with one of the players from F&I, and INZEM's down, and another bad start potentially for Hive, and that torque bow fight also at a bit of a standstill.
Shot over. TJ tries to get that down. Dyslexic gets the call out for the wrap shot to come through. He gets that shot to go. Solurs will win his 1v in the middle of the map there, but Solurs is now by himself. As good as that was for that first win there in that fight, Solurs is going to try to get out of dodge and try to run into one player. Hits the first body shot on a Toti. Second shot comes through, gets the kill. Dyslexic now, or Fearzly, excuse me. Dyslexic, torque bow, and snipe in hand. 2v1. And Solurs is just trying to... I don't know. My man is playing hide and go seek for a hot second, but he didn't play up to the top where the hill spawns, I think.
Yeah, the hill spawns up top for sure. He's slowly making his way up there. Dyslexic, good spacing. Reads him like a book. And that's 2 rounds in a row for Fire and Ice, Colin. They wins 5 and 6. They take a 4-2 lead. And this is where things start to get a bit worrisome for the boys of Hive. Again, going into Training Grounds Escalation, we know Hive has had their struggles there. F&I's been playing TG very well. So this could be a bit of a worry point for Hive if they don't step it up shortly. Putting F&I on map point is going to be a pretty devastating thing for the boys on Hive. Once again, this battle, this Lancer fight that's kind of been underway, you know, quite honestly, throughout the entirety of this map. No effect's going to take place. Fearzly getting pretty aggressive. He's got to be careful. Toti's going to get his back. A couple members are going to be traded out, and it's going to be a 2v2. Woo!
2v1 now thanks to Solurs in the headshot, but now a 1v1. We are in sudden death. Dyslexic versus Solurs. Solurs with the sniper in hand. Misses the first shot. Solurs going for the reload. Here comes Dyslexic. Body shot onto him. That'll shut Dyslexic down for a moment. Solurs looking for a second body shot, trying to get that down. 4 more shots to play around with. Another miss comes out. Solurs not able to connect with any of these. It's going to make his life very hard come time for that overtime hill if it gets to there, but it doesn't look like either person's going to want to wait for that much. Solurs goes for another reaction shot here with the sniper rifle. 2 more bullets to work with. Reloads his Nasher. Good call there. Unsure if he knew he only had 1 shot or if he just had the inkling to switch over and check. And still, that's a great call out by him to get the reload off. Gets marked up. 2 shots left. I like that. He actually reactions that corner.
Yeah.
He aims behind him just to know if he's getting chased.
Yeah, he did that pretty quickly. Get that information. I like this angle he's taking on the overtime hill. Oh, misses the shot. Does Dyslexic push? No, Dyslexic's going for the full cap. Snub's going to be out. It's going to be broken. Those Solurs now. Nasher up close, and he wins the fight. And that was an electrifying ending in the 1v1. And that round, again, is very important. If Dyslexic wins that versus Solurs, they're up 5-3. They're on map point. Break this down for me, Colin.
Well, Solurs wanted to take that front side of the angle so that if Dyslexic actually pushed up into the hill, he had a much easier shot, a much more open body shot. When he misses the shot, that's when you immediately see Dyslexic get into the hill, try to start the cap. Dyslexic tries to play back with the snub, tries to go for the down. He misses his secondary shot with the shotgun. He misses that second shot with the Nasher. That gives Solurs the opening to hit him with the roadie strafe, the wiggle waggle, hits him with a 2-shot down, takes care of business in the 1v1 overtime hill.
Important round. Can Hive chain together 2 in a row? This would be the first time they've done so. They would match that of Fire and Ice, send it to a round 9. Obviously with the intention of taking the lead. Bit of more of a standoff this time. Fire and Ice has normally been the aggressive. This time they're pumping the brakes, Colin.
Coming in now, INZEM, middle of the map. Everybody has pumped their brakes. 4v4, looking to have somebody be able to take an early advantage here, but you need to find an opening. I'm trying to take a look. That is picture, bro. I mean, that is symmetry. I love that symmetry.
It is quite nice.
That symmetry is so nice. Does anybody have any utilities, Taylor? I'm really close to my mic to ask you that question.
Let's see here. Well, Demise does have a utility, yeah. Oh, nice shot. Solurs goes in. Xploidz tucked in the corner. Solurs is down. That's the first blood Fire and Ice was needing and looking for. Xploidz confidently picks up the snipe in the moment. TJ, though, might win the fight for the torque bow, but is he going to be confident enough to push it up? Xploidz looking to keep him in check. TJ knows this. He knows going for the torque bow in this moment is going to be his demise, so he can't do it. He's got to just stay put. But I do believe the overtime hill is going to be where everybody's rotating through, and Hive is set up quite well. And we've seen this take place. Remember the MSP. This time it's going to be a 3v3. It's anybody's game because that long shot is going to be great for getting a shot, but after all, if you miss that first one, if Hive floods into the hill, Fire and Ice is forced to just kind of get in their face.
Body shot on a TJ. That should give the shot opening down for Toti, but he doesn't hit the shot. He actually misses it. 2v3 situation. Xploidz one headshot. Has to jump the cover. Has to try to get in the hill. Won't be able to get it in time. Hive, they answer back with 2 rounds of their own. 4-4, best of 3 situation now.
Wow, that is a big round for Hive. Chaining together 2 in a row. And once again, showcasing that if you have that, you know, the torque bow side of things, when that hill spawns up, it is much easier for you to get in and get that overtime hill. Toti missed that big opportunity though. When that body shot hit, he should have taken down he should have taken down TJ. Missing that shot, giving the 3v2 the advantage over towards Hive, especially with the overtime hill popping up. No matter what snipes are going to be hit, they're able to they're able to flood in and take over the hill. Big loss from them. Xploidz is down, and Hive is storming back in tomb execution. A critical one for them to win. Toti goes to tie it up. TJ doesn't know Toti's coming to his back, and now it's a 2v2 as Solurs has the snipe, and F&I really just has kind of their normal weapons. I don't know. Can they find a way to isolate INZEM? The possibility's there.
I think what they need to find an opening here within the 2v2 is, oh no, they're separated completely across the map. Solurs has not impressed me with a sniper rifle, so I'm not really worried if I'm dyslexic of Solurs hitting a lot of shots with this long shot. And you can clearly tell Dyslexic has just absolutely flown up the stairs at Solurs. Misses a 3rd shot. Shots from the opposite end of the altar come in to help out. INZEM not paying enough attention to the fight in front of him allows his teammate to get shot on and taken down. Dyslexic, no respect for Solurs' long shot right there. And granted, that's exactly why he didn't hit it. He hasn't hit a damn shot, I don't think. I think he hit 1 body shot on Dyslexic out of the 7 shots I've seen him throw at him.
I think he did, yeah. The 1 body shot, if I remember correctly. Dyslexic, 12-4-4. Really proving his name right of Dis King, but will this be the final round for Hive? We'll definitely find out. Dyslexic getting a bit aggressive on a TJ. It's the first time I've seen him confidently push up like this, and Fire and Ice does this quite often where they get to the winning position and then they throw out just a random aggressive push, but Dyslexic loses his life. Big trades in mid on Snipe though. It's a 1v1, sudden death for Hive to stay alive and for Fire and Ice to take the win and lead 2-0.
Xploidz. Stand it up here. Fire and Ice with 1 more round could go up 2-0 over Hive, like you just said. Torque bow versus long shot. I'm gonna get real close to the mic for this one. Let's call. Here we go. 1v1. That overtime hill is gonna spawn up here by the long shot. They need to be careful not to give up that same positioning. But I think TJ, hold on to that active torque. One of the things that you can do with that active torque, as soon as that hill spawns, if Xploidz even thinks about stepping into it, you can rev it up probably quick enough, get the shot on in the kill for you to be able to get that hill to either not be capped up or to get that kill in time for you to get this round and make it 5-5. Little shot out with the active. 5 more seconds. Go ahead and start revving it, big boy. Throw a bolt right there at the cover base for Xploidz. Doesn't get any damage with that one either. 1 bolt left. Here comes the stalemating of the round. He's going to hit the cubby corner. He's going to go for the splash damage. Splash damage onto him. Actually pulls the snub out, thinking he's going to up A in him, but that splash damage was enough for him to get the hill, get the kill. Make it 5-5. We go to a round 11 here, map number 2.
Can't tell if I'm watching a golf tournament or Gears tournament or Gears, Pro League. But I mean, hey, we get a little bit of both with Colin, right? He's kind of a mixed bag. Fair enough, man.
That's something I've been called before. I can tell you that much.
What a mixed bag.
Hell yeah. Hey, I don't know if they meant like I had loose change in the bag, like I was crazy, or they were just saying I was a mixed bag because I didn't know what I was going to get. But, you know, 1/2 dozen of the other, baby.
All right, TJ, opposite of Dyslexic. TJ won this fight before. Does Dyslexic go back for round 2? You were highlighting his 1v1 spots and kind of how he capitalizes in those moments, but Fearzly takes down INZEM. And that's going to put player 6, Solurs, in a really bad spot. Meanwhile, TJ finds an opportunity to pick up the torque. Oh, great connection on Dyslexic. It's a 3v1, though. Is he going to be able to? Oh, my Lord, TJ's doing it. He gets a nice headshot. That's going to take down Fearzly. Couple more, and this is over.
Enemy spotted.
Long shot attempt over to the side of TJ. Xploidz has missed it now. 5 more bolts to work with, or 2 more bolts to work with, 5 more shots to work with. They're gonna wrap. Xploidz is looking to try to catch TJ. Good bait right there by TJ. What a bait and switch. The way he poked out, forced the shot from Xploidz, thinking he might go for the up A. Misses the headshot, and now Xploidz is gonna rotate wide. Unsure if TJ saw him. They've picked up both. I love that call. That is, I don't know who on their team said go pick up both shocks, but there is nowhere to run down, nowhere to hide. They could literally herd him into whatever position they want to now. He's got 2 bolts left. He needs to find one of the connections.
If TJ wins this round, not only will he tie up the series 1-1, but this would be an ace, a solo ace on his part. Opportunities here. The splash damage coming through. But he's still alive, though. He's still alive. Can he recover, though? He's getting out-angled by Toti. And the reset is in. Now you got a question, though, for TJ. He's not going to have any position. Well, I guess he does on the overtime hill. He manages to rotate down. 1 torque boat to his name. But those shocks, Colin, right? You can't
get into the hill. Sorry about that.
Well, he still can. He can hop over cover, but then he's going to get just lancered and snubbed out. This is going to be a crazy ending. TJ, if he can connect 1 more bolt, 1 more, this is still doable from him. No.
Nope.
Okay, a little bait and switch.
It's over. He knew when he didn't hit it and didn't get the splash damage, it was all over. 2-0. Fire and Ice are up over Hive. They got 1 map to go to get a 3-0 victory over a very gamey Hive team. They take map number 2 in 6-5 fashion. Toti hitting them with a not today, not no way, not no how. Let's see if they can keep that energy up in map number 3. Training Grounds Escalation. It'll be right after a quick commercial break.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to day 11 of the Gears Pro League, and another 2-0 lead coming out. One reason why I say another, Oxygen took a 2-0 lead over Team Queso. We saw United take a 2-0 lead over Rise, and in this case, Fire and Ice will be the 3rd team tonight to take a 2-0 lead over Hive. And Hive's got to step it up. We're heading into Training Grounds Escalation, but just to break down Tomb Execution, it goes the distance, but ultimately, for Hive, they finish a bit short.
Yeah, they just couldn't come through in the clutch at a couple of different rounds, and I think one of the things that I really want to point out is twice in that map, Solurs was able to get long shot and failed to connect, really. And 1 round he ends up winning because he baits a player into a 1v, into a shotgun battle. The other situation is INZEM doesn't play the teammate position. He doesn't play up on his opponent enough to not allow his opponent to snub Solurs in the back, giving Solurs the 20 or 30% damage that was needed for them to get that easy down. I think if you look at the way those rounds started to close out for Fire and Ice, it very much lends itself to Fire and Ice is just playing a better team game than Hive tonight. That is the thing that I think is very interesting to see. Going into this second half, you've literally got 2 maps that Fire and Ice love. So Hive is about to have to go on an absolute tear and play better than they probably even did last week just to win this series. Whereas Fire and Ice, they now get to just play relaxed. They can sit back and kick it because they're going to their map pick of Training Grounds Escalation. Speyer control, even if you lose that, you're going to check out Execution.
Right. And they beat United last week on Checkout Execution, round 11. So for Hive, like you mentioned, it really is an uphill battle. Those first 2 maps were where Hive needed to strike and really strike when the iron was hot. Training Grounds Escalation is going to be a big challenge for them, a big test. The slaying power from F&I is incredible, and they're a team that isn't shy about closing out the round early in Escalation in a way of domination. And Training Grounds is one that can be pretty unforgiving, especially if your 1v player isn't holding his ground, which I do expect the 1v player from Hive to do quite well against anybody, whoever, maybe F&I is going on. You mentioned the teamwork from F&I maybe a bit better. I don't know. I mean, clearly F&I is playing better as a team, right? That's why they have the 2-0 lead. But I think Hive's teamwork still has been pretty good. In fact, just as good as it was last week. I think FNI has just stepped it up and is just playing overall better.
Okay, well, look, I can accept that as well. Again, I mean, it's like people always you want to cut hairs. It's like having the number 1 versus the number 2 defense in the NFL going up against each other. They're both going to get 4 or 5 sacks in a game. They might get a pick or two. One of them just comes away with a couple more pressures, which is what changes the outlook on the field position game, and you end up getting that dub based off of that. I look at it simply because of the fact that I think Hive is playing a little bit more separated. Again, INZEM not helping Solurs earlier in that matchup. Right. Demise not playing close enough to TJ that when TJ goes down, by the time Demise reaches him, he gets double lancered down. Those are little errors in your teamwork and your communication that will come back to haunt you late in games. And oh, by the way, when Fire and I started playing closer knit together inside of the hill, they forced Hive into them on that Regency is when they started their comeback mid-game. It's when they mounted up, I think it was like 150 or 160 points to only about 50 or 60. And then, of course, the rounds they needed to convert there on Tomb all converted because of Fire and Ice's better teamwork over Hive. They are playing a little bit better than Hive right now, but I think it boils down to which team is willing to put their life on the line for their battle buddies.
Fair enough. Hey, battle buddies are a real thing, man. You got to put your life on the line for those. For Training Grounds, Escalation, I mentioned a couple of key points. You know, obviously the Overlook fight, the 1v players. You also mentioned earlier, Fire and Ice isn't shy about placing a sniper down low, and even if teams do so against them, doesn't necessarily pan out in their favor. What can Hive do to throw out FNI and maybe take the win?
I think Hive has to be very strong in rounds 1 and 2. Wait for Fire and Ice to place a power weapon down somewhere, and then you're going to get to see what Hive is made of. If they're going to be able to rotate around the map, if they're going to be able to make the right play calls. INZEM is going to be first to the backside of the U, throws that flash, an extra flash comes into the backside, but already look at the way they bait and switched for each other backside of the U. It looks like Solurs is going to be able to come in and clean up with the extra revive there on INZEM, so that's a great little initial, but that could have gone very much bad for the side of Hive had they not gotten up into that position early enough for Solurs to be able to come in for the cleanup. We get the neutralization over here. TJ, he makes it to the top side of the heaven, but you got to get there and you got to let your teammate know that he has to play to the point where you can lancer for him. You keep him on the top verticality of the cover, you give up that position.
Hive commits a lot for this overextension, and for themselves, they're going to lose 2 members, and TJ luckily is going to win the neutral by taking down Fearzly. That could have been a lot worse. Fire and Ice, like I said, isn't shy about closing in a way of domination. Who knows if they go for the overextension. TJ is going to be removed, though, and down. And Demise isn't going to be able to do much. Toti is going to be able to get the decap and full cap, and Fire and Ice back in control with the 2-1. And Dyslexic might be threatening an OE shortly. You never know, depending on how that goes, but at least he's going to alleviate the pressure by taking on INZEM. So Hive off the respawn. They've got to mount up a cohesive push. And where that push is going to be, well, I don't know, but it might be on this Overlook. Dyslexic is being pressured quite hard.
This is what I was worried about. Fire and Ice, they get that B hill, they get a point lead here. They're going to come back in that point lead category after giving up the 2 home hills over to the side of Hive for a hot minute. Dyslexic is going to rotate down. He's going to go for a little bit of a crazy overtake here toward the bottom middle of the map. I believe we've got time to sneak Dyslexic over through that. Yeah, he gets the call out, but now they know he's there, so now Dyslexic has to play back a little bit. But with that down on INZEM backside of the U, it's pretty much easy pickings for the rest of Fire and Ice. They're going to be able to get a 2v1 to the top of the Overlook. TJ is going to trade out there. It's going to be Demise versus, I believe, across from his Fearzly. Excuse me, it's Toti. So Toti's there in a 1v1 against Demise. If Demise tries to hop the cover, he might drop before he even makes it to the floor. This is going to be a possible triple cap, but it's not even really needed. They're going to be up over 200. They should be able to get this first round under their belt quite easily.
I think they're going to. Obviously, Hive is going to get their home hill back, but a lot of things need to go right for Hive, and it's got to go right the first time. They can't afford to drop anything. Dyslexic's going to be quite weak. TJ knows this. He's going to push up. You need that player from Overlook to kind of help him. That's Fearzly, and Fearzly will rotate down to assist Dyslexic to take down TJ. That's going to be a solid win. Keeping that 1 hill is going to give FNI, or keep FNI with the win condition. Very well done from them, and even though a strong start for Hive, it's going to be a lackluster finish. FNI will lead 1-0.
Fire and Ice 4 rounds away from a 2-0 victory over the side of Hive, and that would be big for me. I really believe if you could see Hive fall to Fire and Ice here, that will proved to me that Fire and Ice is back on that march toward the top of the pro league. I kept having moments where I started to want to have faith in them, and then they just proved me with either a lackluster showing or they would get beat up by a team. And I'm like, well, this is one of those situations where every time I try to fight back into it, I try to believe into them, they just give me a reason not to. I pick Hive tonight thinking that Hive has been playing well enough to overtake them, but here it is. Fire and Ice, they're right back on the warpath. They've got a couple of games in a row now where they have shown nothing but strength.
Nothing but strength indeed. And, you bring up a great point. It's kind of the same thing. We look at, E United's performance tonight. It was incredible. It really was. And that says, okay, E United is on the upward trend. Getting in this close to the major, they're going to be a serious threat. Same thing for Fire and Ice. Last week to this week, if they beat Hive 3-0, as Hive has been playing just so very well. I mean, after all, again, they beat E United 3-0 last week. It'd be a very real chance we are seeing the come up of Fire and Ice, the old Fire and Ice we are so used to seeing. Toti making some moves, going on the flank. Solurs is forced to rotate in. He's down. Hive's got to play this very carefully.
Hive has to make sure that they don't get over-rotated on. Here comes the decap at the home hill of Hive. B hill still in favor of Hive, though, and you see them pressuring toward Xploidz. Xploidz maybe trying to go for a couple of back A's here over the top of the cover to try to get TJ down. He's going to get tagged up heavily. Fire and Ice is pinched out. Demise at the B hill. They're going to have a chance to get that retake under their belt. Hive might have the home-to-home stretch here, but only momentarily in. Fire and Ice, with all the decaps they've gone through, with all this work they've put in, I think the reason for that is they've kept it they've kept it very close nonetheless. They've kept it to a point where it's not overwhelming. They have a chance to try to go for a retake, a strategy retake, and not just a fly and die.
INZEM loses his fight. That's going to be a guaranteed hill going over towards Fire and Ice. Meanwhile, though, Hive does a great job once again winning the neutral. They did that last time with TJ. This time around, it's going to be Demise. Fearzly tries to get the angle onto Solurs, but luckily he does have help, and that's going to be player 4 on the opposite end. But you have also player 5, Xploidz, who's going to be coming up from the midline. That's going to make Hive hightail it out of there. They can't sit there. Once again, Fire and Ice will take the neutral. And honestly, this start is pretty much identical to how the last round started, right? Round number 1, Colin.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think people have to be concerned with is the fact that Fire and Ice keeps finding these little... This footage here really kind of showcases the weaknesses that Hive have on certain maps, whether it's a wrinkle in their defense, where you can find an opening to try to pressure up onto him. Fearzly's going to try to go for a shot over the cover. Hive really enjoys this home-to-home stretch on training grounds. It's worked for him nonetheless in this first round. It'll be a 2v2 in about 7 or 8 seconds here. Once Fearzly comes back off of the home hill, they don't have anybody that they can rotate over to go for a Lancer angle. Xploidz actually gets called out in the middle. Almost gets down trying to rotate into that overlook position, that cubby corner. Dyslexic is going to have a flash thrown out over him. There's a 3-man retake attempt right here. They're giving up the mid-neutral hill over to Hive, which... if they don't win this flawlessly, we're going to see ourselves tied up 1-1. They got to win it flawlessly and be able to get to C and B to try to stop this point accumulation. There's the B hill capped up, down to just under 10 seconds. Player number 5 has to make it to C because it is a 2v1 over here, 3v1 now. They're going to be able to get a decap on B, but nobody is at C to help out. And he doesn't even make it there in time to get a touch on it. That'll be round number 2 going in favor of Hive.
All right, and Solurs hitting a player with a no-no, so maybe starting to feel himself. We know Hive is a very much so a team with a lot of personality, right? They're a momentum-based team, and they start filling themselves. You do see Hive start to shine in a number of ways. Fire and Ice, much the same. Vanquish, a lot the same too, especially with handles. I'm always pointing him out. My question is, does Fire and Ice choose to put a long shot where they typically do? And maybe not. There's no harm, no foul in matching what Hive is doing. But with the way Fearzly's moving, there's a possibility they're thinking about it. But I think this time he's really thinking about this. There we go. We got the long shot call. And I knew it'd be, sooner rather than later. And this is what we got. And again, this works so well for... It's been working literally against any team they play against.
It's going to be interesting to see how Hive tries to take this fight. Looks like Fire and Ice is going to go for one player up top, trying to go for the Lancer angle here on the Solurs. They're actually going to give up that initial long shot pick over to Demise. Solurs, look at the over rotation. Fire and Ice is sending 3 people into the area to try to get a revive off and try to get the sniper out of that closet into the hands of Xploidz. There's a down on the Solurs finally. Kills coming through. Triple cap domination being threatened. 2 players are gonna hop. Oh, he doesn't get the shot off. Oh no, that is a misstep and a half. That's a trip over a stick, man. Oh my god!
Oh. He's got to stay alive, though. He's got to get value. He's already killed Solurs. He took down another one, but this is where... I thought Toti might get there in time. INZEM's like, enough is enough. I got to get out of here, brother. Regain my health. But you mentioned that bit of a misstep, and it was because Hive committed quite a bit for the overextension. You know, they played that well. Xploidz barely gets out with his life and the sniper. And I was favoring Hive in that moment, but a good recovery nonetheless, because Hive is already back into the driver's seat very much so, and even pressuring in for the domination once again, Colin.
You're going to get this neutralization. There's the quick pick onto the meat shield. Here comes the flash. It'll stop him from having that meat shield. INZEM pulls back, has the Lancer out. Double Lancer into the area. Beautiful shots on. They're going to be able to continue to pressure out here at the home hill of Fire and Ice. The 2 downs, the 2 kills. The triple player on the hill. They're going to get that cap off quickly. They answer back. They roar into a lead here. Going into the last round of the first half for Hive, they're up 2-1.
Well done. Well done. Well done indeed. This would be a massive victory for Hive. I know someone in chat was saying, look, hey, have faith, Hive. They, been down 2-0 before, and they've made comebacks to win a series, and rightly so. This could be the opportunity that they've been looking for. 2 great rounds for them. The way they isolated, I even want to go back to the initial, Colin, even though things got a little bit scary for Hive. I think they played that initial well. They applied the pressure to Xploidz down low. They made his life very uncomfortable. He was even downed. If they were able to get the finish onto him, that start for Fire and Ice could have been much worse. And it wasn't even that good because, again, Hive won in the way of domination. So Fire and Ice, yes, they're going to go back to their same strategy, but I think Hive has a pretty good foothold on how they want to counter.
Hive had a great counter early on, a couple of downs coming through and a couple of kills. They actually over-rotate through the bottom of the map in the last round. Now they're going to try to challenge up straight onto the sniper rifle of Xploidz. They get the kill. Solurs playing inside of the overlook. I believe he got the call out that 1 more player is in the area, and it looks like this time Fire and Ice might have gone for a little overextension, trying to go home-to-home. Toti, full red, gets shot on, gets meleeed out. Solurs will have the sniper rifle to show for his efforts here in the middle of the map. They also win their home hill right back, so 2-1 hill advantage in favor of Hive. Fire and Ice has 1 player on the home. 2 more players coming off a respawn. Xploidz, who was stunned up, gets up 8. Here comes a flash out into the face of those respawn players from Fire and Ice. It's actually a shock, excuse me. It's not a flash grenade. It's going to force them up onto the cover and down the stairwell at him. Quick little revive, but not in time. Hive, 3 rounds in a row. Sniper rifle was the placement that Fire and Ice wanted, but it has not gone their favor thus far in this map number 3. Hive looking to come back and win this map 3 to take it back to control. Except this time, they'll have a different look. It won't be on Regency.
Yeah, won't be on Regency. It'll be on Speyer, which I think you were highlighting Fire and Ice, if I'm not mistaken.
I was
on
highlighting
Speyer.
for Hive, because Hive is
screamed it. Okay, right, which makes sense. Because
I hate to say it that way, but it's I don't know if Fire and Ice has been playing it every single day, and I just haven't seen it, but I have seen Hive. We have seen Hive,
and Hive played that very well. Remember that I think we actually casted over the first Speyer, if I'm not mistaken, at least for whenever it came to Hive playing. And I forget who they were playing, but they played it very well. This would be a massive victory once again. And Fire and Ice, I don't care how much they're getting beat down by Hive whenever it comes to this initial, they're not going to stray away from this. You know that, Colin. They're going to continue to try and go for this sniper. They placed it. They know they can get great value out of it. So if Hive can win these initials one more time and win it again, obviously in the next round, they could very well beat Fire and Ice, because Fire and Ice is not going to deviate from that initial.
Well, Fire and Ice, they're going to continue to try their luck. They're going for the triple cap domination here. INZEM will get into the hill momentarily to stop the triple cap from just tagging up Fearzly. Big body shot there. TJ up top is hurt. They have their home pretty much stacked up right now. Xploidz, 5 shots to go in the long shot now. I want to see Xploidz be able to start racking up some headshots here. Start to put on a little highlight reel play for his team to try to get him back into this, trying to aim up onto TJ. Misses the first shot. TJ, though, INZEM goes down to the Lancer fire. Beautiful cross there from the side of Fire and Ice. All 4 players of Hive in the area now, trying to push to the backside of the U. Demise sees the misroll come out in front of him. They Lancer up Xploidz. They get the down on him. Nobody playing up with Fire and Ice. That's a misstep if you ask me. Yes, the triple cap domination was threatened for just a moment, but they are on the E hill. And they do have the chance to rotate back to their own home if they so wish, because they have a player dead and they have 1 more damaged up in the middle of the map.
It's big round for Fire and Ice naturally to, you know, stop the bleeding, win the swing round, keep Hive away from that map point. I know Fire and Ice is feeling the pressure at the moment. They do have the 2-1, but home hill to home hill, as we know, is pretty hard to lock in place, and you got to do it pretty well and hold it down really with everything you got. Dyslexic, big fight against TJ. He's going to win that. He's got one coming up the respawn, though. He needs to hightail it out of there, get away. Coming up the ramp, he's going to get tagged. You have to assume Dyslexic doubles back, takes down Demise. Can't get INZEM, but the fact that he puts up that much of a fight was incredible.
But Fire and Ice, so many players for Hive put it into that situation that Fire and Ice is able to get back onto the E-Hill. Brilliant job by them. Toti with a sniper in hand gets a body shot on this TJ. Settles him down to that 40%. He has to wait for his health to come back. He's going to try to bounce up into the area. Snub out for Toti now.
I'm ready for more.
He goes down. TJ gets picked right back up by Demise. 2 players getting ready to stack up against the 3 players of Fire and Ice at the B-Hill. Excuse me, the mid-neutral. It's the E-Hill technically. They get a decap at the F-Hill. INZEM tries to over-rotate to come onto the 6 o'clock of these players of Fire and Ice, but gets taken down as well at the home hill to home hill stretch. Solurs is 1-1v1, but I don't know if it matters because with the E-Hill going back into the favor of Fire and Ice and only 4 seconds left, this will be a second round under their belt, and they're 1 round closer to tying it up, but the second round, or the first round of the second half, very well played by Fire and Ice.
Very well played indeed. One of the biggest, though, kind of eyesores for me, though, again, is going to be that initial, which normally goes well for Fire and Ice, but Hive is doing a phenomenal job at countering that strong initial that F&I has had against so many different teams for that long shot fight. This time around, having the shot could be beneficial. Let's take into account that F&I didn't have that shock before, but Hive obviously has a shock and a retro. Again, you know, it comes down to the initial for me, Colin. If Hive can counter like they did in the earlier rounds against Fire and Ice, who is not going to give up the snipe whatsoever, they're going to continue to bang their head against the wall and go for it. Fire and Ice could be in trouble. It just really depends on how Hive plays this.
INZEM, he's going to play up toward the top side of the overlook here, and I like the play from Fire and Ice. They get the snipe early into Xploidz. They play a second player over onto him, so they don't give up a chance for him to go down. The shock is there. Solurs, little melee, trying to bounce around, trying to bait out a shot or two from Xploidz. INZEM will get a kill there on Dyslexic at the top of the overlook. They're trying to find the look on the Xploidz if they want to be able to challenge it up. It looks like they're going to rotate Xploidz over to the overlook, and they're going to try to have him help out onto the fight against Demise. Missed body shot there. Demise is going to have help it out. They're going to be fully spread out on the map. 2-2 for Hive. Fire and Ice, though. Sniper's going to be lurking at the heaven. 3-man push is going to come to the backside of the home hill of Hive. A lot of retro damage out from Demise, but not enough to get either kill. Not any kill, excuse me. All 3 players still alive for Fire and Ice in this situation. They go home to home. They make the right play, Kyle. Hive is too slow to rotate. I think they're just so worried about Xploidz hitting a headshot on either one of them. They rotate in the middle of the map. That Fire and Ice have a definitive edge here now with Xploidz having that sniper in his hands.
He's got to be careful, though. Losing his life here would be tough. Granted, you only have INZEM to get through. On the opposite end, Dyslexic tries to hold that home hill of Hive. This time around, it doesn't pay off. And Hive will have the 2-1 and continue to garner a lead. Granted, Fire and Ice sees an opportunity. They strike. They isolate player 3 of Solurs, take him down, and they get the neutral in their hands. And in my opinion, this is a much safer and sound setup for Fire and Ice that is going to make it more difficult for Hive to break, especially with Xploidz going on Overlook. You already know how hard it is to traverse through that open area once you get picked off and you're coming off a spawn.
One more shot on the sniper for Xploidz. If he hits any headshot right here, it shuts down any retake by Hive. Misses the body shot. He bounces around, gets 1 kill, bounces around, gets a second kill. Xploidz going absolutely huge for Fire and Ice. Oh, and now he's just going to kick the kidneys right out of INZEM. Just going to, oh my God. Oh, he kicked the head. Oh, God.
And Toti gets the fresh snipe, too. That was just disgusting from Xploidz. Holy. I thought his sniper shots were nasty enough, but that move, as you like to say, calling that little wiggle waggle, oh my God, that was just picture perfect. I got to see that one again. Either way, Hive might be in trouble here. We should be tied up 3-3. Hive going home hill to home hill, though. Toti trying to hold on to E with as much power as he's got. Now, granted, E is going to be enough. You notice Fire and Ice still wins in just mere seconds. Hive's got to get a break here. They're giving it one last-ditch effort, but that effort is now officially done. Finito, over with. F&I wins 2 rounds in a row to tie it up 3-3.
Fire and Ice now on the cusp or on the precipice of getting this 3-0 victory over Hive. I was very impressed with the way Hive fought back in the middle of this, but Fire and Ice continue. Oh, that's
It's just
hold on, slow mo now.
See this in slow mo.
Hey, there's no movement. You can't be fast anymore.
Bro.
You
Oh
can't.
my gosh.
You can't bounce around. The game is so slow.
And Colin, he had the sniper out before all that took place, and he backpacks it, pulls out the Nasher, and still takes both of those players out. Like, ugh.
But the game is slow. The Lancer's too strong. I can't bounce. Out of here. Out of here with that nonsense.
Everybody.
I am. I hate when people say that because I'm like, you clearly don't watch the best players on the planet. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Let's go mess some up.
All right, here we go. Torque Bow's going to be on Overlook now. We're all tied up 3-3. Does the Torque Bow change things? Maybe. Last round, Hive gave Fire and Ice to snipe for free. This time around, Fire and Ice has to deviate 2 players up top to fight for the Torque. Great shot from Xploidz onto INZEM. He's not skipping a beat. Oh no, TJ with a bit of a misroll, and Toti's going to get the sniper. You got Xploidz with the Torque, Toti with the snipe. And you also have the 2-1 advantage for Fire and Ice, Colin.
This 4th round could be absolutely huge for Fire and Ice because it puts the pressure solely and squarely on Hive. You see the shot across the middle of the map, gets the body shot. It'll settle him down, stop him from going for the Lancer damage there. Torquebow revving up in Xploidz' hands, trying to find a player from Hive to try to get that pick on. INZEM gets body shotted yet again. See, now they're going to have to worry about both power weapons in this situation. Toti gets the mark out there. He knows that one has gone to the top side of the Overlook. At least 2 players are marked up there. One more bolt in the quiver of Xploidz. Toti with 4 shots in the long shot. I still think Xploidz is the most dangerous man on the planet right here because if he hits any of these bolts, more likely a player is going to rotate too quickly and actually get splash damage on a teammate as well, which is just making it that much harder to live. I'm not sure if he still has it, though.
One more. He does have an opportunities here. He's got to use it. Doesn't. I think he did shoot it out, yeah, and it didn't have any effect whatsoever. Still, the lead from Fire and Ice, Colin, is pretty tremendous. Hive is starting to get the party started, but is it going to be a little bit too late? I don't think it swings the win condition back into the favor of Hive, but it is a start. Toti, one more shot. Left goes, tries to connect on the Solurs. Not going to happen. Fire and Ice, so you can see what they're up to. They're going for the overextension.
They are going to go for this overextension, go to the home-to-home setup, try to continue to keep this pressure onto Hive. Beautiful playback by Hive. Lancers out. Now the snub in the hands of TJ. Second down onto Dyslexic. One more will be an instant kill there. They actually stopped that pressure in its tracks. Toti playing up against INZEM here onto these small stairs. Second player rotates up now. INZEM doesn't have any help from the backside. No Lancer damage coming in right now. And they need to find a kill on the opposite side of the map to be able to get somebody over here to help out Demise. Demise is now in a 2v1, up over 200 points. Neutralizations are all Fire and Ice, I think, are going to go for. You see Hive trying to rotate over to the F hill. They're going to try to get a 2v1 hill cap here to try to catch back up into this. 230 points in the favor of Fire and Ice. 2-1 hill cap now in favor of Hive, but Fire and Ice still win if they can't get onto the E hill.
Fire and Ice is also going to be on to F. They got the 2-1. That's 4 out of the way for a Hive, and F and I will put themselves at map point, series point, off of 2 very successful rounds. You go back to the previous round, Colin. Again, Hive gives up the snipe for free. Xploidz goes to work with it immediately. This round that just concluded, round number 7, the Torque Bow is 1. That's going to go to Xploidz. The snipe goes to Toti, and the 2-1 goes to F&I. Literally a flawless start. By the time Hive gets the ball rolling at all, F&I is already leading 170-90. Things were just already out of control to the point where Hive had to play just literally picture perfect. So Fire and Ice has another great initial like that. Hive is in deep trouble. They're already in trouble, let's face it. So what is the game plan from Solurs? Well, let's go ahead and get the Ensign on the board. I guess that's what it's going to be. Obviously, saving the disables for potential round 9.
There it is. Incendiary shocks both squads being able to get ready to use all the utility possible to win this round.
Put me
See if they can come away with a little rotation here in the middle of the map to come away with that sniper rifle. They need to find a power weapon in this initial. They cannot keep they can't keep giving up both power weapons, or at least the main power weapon, the long shot, over to the side of Fire and Ice. It's just they got too many players that are dangerous with it. INZEM's down already. Quick revive out. Xploidz, though, into the area. Big shot over the cover. Shuts both players from Hive down. 2-1 hill advantage, and now the incendiary out of Fearzly gets the kill onto Solurs. Torque bow in the hands of Xploidz. The sniper, or the long shot, should be on the ground right now. Demise tries to pressure home to home, but he's going to get 2v1. Lancer down, taken out. 3 players from Hive trying to come off a respawn now. 1 rotates up to the hill. The other 2 trying to pressure in. Torque bow shots missed out by Xploidz. Little splash damage there, though. Misroll by INZEM, missed. Misroll doesn't get it to go this time. So as good as the play was a few rounds ago for Xploidz, bouncing back and forth, INZEM, after the miss from Xploidz, takes full advantage of it and gets the down, gets the kill. They get the 2-1 hill advantage back in their favor. And I think if I am Hive, you got to play a little bit of defense here for a couple of minutes. You don't want to pressure up. You don't want to get a little crazy. You don't want to get nuts. You just need to win this round to get it to a round number 9.
That's it. Survive. One round at a time. That's really the kind of game plan for Hive, if I had to guess. Fire and Ice, though, is going to commit 3 strong. 2 players are going to rotate. Oh, no, they're going for the overextension. A little bit of a tricky move. Fearzly is getting Lancered. If he drops here, though, that's going to be tough. One player has to back up, and yeah, that's exactly what's going to take place. Player 5 goes back to pick him up. That's going to slow him down a little bit. Dyslexic is going to be down low, I assume, waiting for the fresh sniper. Demise is going to meet F and I head on to try and keep at least F locked in as long as they possibly can. Damage control, if you will. And that's 2 players down for F and I, and it looks like Hive has successfully held on, and they're going for a domination.
Triple gap domination is going to be threatened here. Nobody's going to be able to get back to that home hill in time. Xploidz has to try to get a neutralization, but he gets down just outside of the hill. That'll be 4-4. That's going to a round number 9 between Hive and Fire and Ice. Hive have to win it. They have to come away with this round number 9 to stay alive in this matchup. Fire and Ice looking to shut it down, and what a night that would be. 3 matchups that were all really big marquee matchups, all going 3-0.
Woo. Yeah, I don't want to see another 3-0. I really don't. Granted, we did see the Noble Rebel, but like we said, main broadcasted, all went 3-0. And this is one that I expected to be relatively close with how teams, or both rosters, have been kind of competing and playing. One disables out. Xploidz might not use his disable, Colin. Wow. What are we going to do with the Torque? Unless he disables the Torque, which fair enough, right? We're going back. Okay, that's what he's doing. I apologize. I don't know why I didn't see that coming. But Torque bow disabled, fair enough. We're going back to where Fire and Ice was most successful.
Coming out of spawn in this round number 9, I really want to see who can take advantage of that mid lane area. We saw last round where Fire and Ice held onto the incendiaries, allowed for the pickup to come through, and then used that incendiary to get that kill. Xploidz tagged up full red, doesn't go down. He's going to be able to pick up that long shot pretty easily. Not going to get challenged. INZEM, though, with a kill on Dyslexic. That's a big first initial kill. That's a big ice-breaking kill. Xploidz goes for the body shot. Getting tagged up from multiple angles here. 2 players maxed out in the middle of the map, but that's a great reaction from Xploidz. Gets the up A there on to the player of Solurs in the middle of the map. Down from the Lancer. Cleaned up from the opposite side. INZEM will have the sniper in his hands now. 5 shots to use in it. Arc's coming out. He needs to get into a situation where he might be able to help his teammates out there in a 2-1 hill advantage. And they are going to try to get this to go under. They're going to try to get this to go under their belt here. INZEM's going to get tagged up, so they know the sniper is there. They know exactly where INZEM is.
Ooh.
Oh, that was almost the Kobe of all Kobe's, my man.
Yeah, that was really close. And not to mention, INZEM was already weak from the Lancer fire. I mean, if he even steps a toe into the flames, he's gone. Luckily, stays alive and has a good overarching view of pretty much the entire map now. Smoke is out. Good smoke. This should allow players from Fire and Ice to transfer over towards E, and that's exactly what they're going to do. INZEM now forced to fight. I don't think he expected Fire and Ice to be all up in his face as quickly as possible, though, and yeah, he's going to be capitalized on as Fearzly will take him down. Fearzly did a great job closing that gap as quickly as he did. But the reality is this, Colin. Hive has a great lead. Fire and Ice, they've got to be picture perfect to win this and win the series 3-0.
TJ trying to hold his shot here at the backside of the U. Goes for the wrap shot on a Toti. Toti gets down as he tries to hop the cover. They're going to get the second down here onto Xploidz, and it looks like this will be the round. one way or the other. There's not enough time for them to come back into this situation. Love taps coming out from Hive. They're giving them the no-nos. They're giving them the shaky wakies. They're saying, eggs and bakey, you better get woken up, boys, because we're going to try to fight back into this. They will win map number 3, 5-4, and we will send it over to map number 4 of Control Speyer, with Fire and Ice needing to just win one more map and Hive having to be perfect the rest of this series.
Solid victory from Hive, a big one indeed. Again, Fire and Ice has done so well against basically every team they played against when it comes to training ground as of recently. This time around, though, Hive not playing around. Solurs and TJ. Solurs with 26k damage done, TJ with 23. Those numbers are nothing to play around with. Those guys were putting in tremendous work. Well done coming out from Hive. Seriously, that is a win that I did not expect them to get. I expected them to get a win on Regency or maybe 2, but Training Grounds Escalation, I thought was a shoe-in and a lock for Fire and Ice, but clearly not the case here, Colin.
I mean, it looked that way for a while. I think the biggest lead we saw was 3-1, and then it was 3-2, 3-3 stacked up or whatever it might have come to. But we really saw Fire and Ice put their best foot forward there in the middle of that matchup. They continued to win the power weapons, and when they could win the power weapons and get them out safely, they were in dominating control of the rounds. It was the rounds that Hive were able to rotate around, get kills, and take those power weapons or take the positioning away from those power weapons. Whether they got the weapon or not, didn't matter. The positioning was more important to Hive than the weapon itself, and those are the rounds that they really just flat out came away with a steadfast victory.
Xploidz tried so hard to really put the team on his back. Dyslexic too, he had some incredible moments, most notably on the second half. This is clearly the play where he stayed alive in Hive spawn as long as he did. That double back was just crazy to me. This move from Xploidz, my goodness. I mean, he did everything he possibly could to get the victory here, but Hive collectively just did it a little bit better. That torque bow placement didn't even really help them, but it did enough to break up the fight for Fire and Ice not to feel as comfortable as they did. I think the biggest thing that hurt Fire and Ice, in my opinion, even though they won a round going home hill to home hill and trying to lock it in place, I don't think they played for E enough, Colin.
They maybe that might have been the issue they found, but that's because, like you said, Fire and Ice loves that long shot placement, so you're kind of forced to play that home hill to home hill setup. Because you're going to play through the middle of the map every single round, it gives you a situation to have to deal with. And when you can't re-rotate, when you can't readjust to that backside E hill where that U is, you have to play the home hill to home hill stretch, and that's what ends up happening. You get taken out because you keep losing 2-1 hill advantages early. You give up too big of a point lead, and you force yourself into a bad situation late in rounds.
Yeah, well, at this point, Hive, much needed win. We transfer over to Speyer Control, one that you felt was going to be a positive for Hive, and I agree with you, given the fact that we have seen Hive play this map quite well. You know, they do, and if I remember correctly, one of the only criticisms you had the last time we watched Hive on Speyer was, or at least the last time we had a chance to cast together watching Speyer, was TJ was playing a role we shouldn't see him play, and that was mainly being the Lancer guy, the support role, instead of being up in your face where we expect him to be challenging those hills. Have you had a chance to watch Hive play Speyer since that time we had a chance to cast over him?
I got to see a no voices scrim. I can't hear any of the comms, and there's like, it's just like we were watching Pro League. It was kind of just watching a match from a bird's eye view. TJ played a different role, but I don't expect him to play a different role against Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice has to be out team fired. You have to not give up those easy kills to guys like Dyslexic and Xploidz in the middle of the map, because you know Toti and Fearzly are both fantastic team players. You know they're going to try to make things as easy as possible on their teammates at any given point in time. So TJ, while he played a different role, he played it against a different team as well, and he was extraordinarily impressive. I think he came away with like 19 or 20k damage, and he had a very nice KDA to boot with it, but he played in every hill. I mean, he played up into everybody's face. I don't expect that to see him out of him, because it's a completely different squad that they're having to go up against. We're gonna leave names out of it so that the innocent stay that way. I think I don't remember how that saying goes from that. What was that show? The names have been changed to protect the innocent. That's what. That's what it was. Yeah. I'm not naming names. We're not even changing names.
Little dramatizations that we watch and stuff like that. Crime shows and stuff. All right, fair enough. Well, that's so you think TJ provides more value, at least in this matchup, by playing on the outskirts, more of a support role that we've seen before?
He needs to play on the outskirts, but it has to be it has to be tethered outskirts. He can't be playing top middle stairs 40, 50 yards away if his teammates are getting overrun. He needs to be smart enough to be able to rotate into those fights. He needs to be able to make those own calls on his own and say, hey, they need me down there. I got to pull up into the fight. Whether you're basically walking down the stairs with snub out, I mean, just letting him have it from range, you're still putting shots down range, but you're getting closer and closer to the fight. And you're probably hitting a lot of shots because TJ's a very accurate player. So he can put himself in better positions and still put out the same amount of damage and put himself closer to possibly get revives, possibly get finishes, possibly get closeout kills. I think that's one of the things that I do notice about him is that sometimes he gets so infatuated with just doling out the damage, making everybody uncomfortable, that he kind of gets set up. He becomes almost like a human turret, much rather than the kind of that moving target, that moving piece of intel across the map when he's at his most dangerous. I also think they really struggled. I think it was Demise had 2 different drop shot abilities and went 0 for 2 in kills with the drop shot, even having the active. So I think I need to see them improve in both situations. TJ playing closer to the hill, better drop shot play.
Drop shots, I think, were something they were lacking on as well when we had a chance to cast over them before. Drop shots are big on this map, much like frags are too. Any piece of, really power weapon utility that you have is going to be great for breaking those side hills, which are already difficult enough to break if you don't establish yourself early on. Drop shot frags could be implemental to, obviously penetrating that hill a little bit better. One thing that Hive did better, in my opinion, on Regency, despite them taking the loss, was rotating earlier than Fire and Ice on most hills. Speyer is a punishing map. Rotating early is really of the utmost importance. It truthfully is. If you have to leave a hill and give up 30 points, then you have to leave the hill and give up 30 points with the ideology that you're going to be gaining, 50, 60 points off of the next to one of those coveted corner hills, specifically the ones on the bottom of the map. Most importantly, those are kind of your money hills, if you will. So Fire and Ice, that's where they could find themselves lacking, Colin, not rotating early enough. Because again, they didn't do that on Regency.
You said it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm worried about it.
All right, fair enough. It's just a fresh start then. We're just rolling with it. We're going straight
in. 4 between Hive and Fire and Ice. Fire and Ice looking to close this out, going up 3-1. Hive needs to win this one to be able to fight back and take it to a map number 5 on execution. Solurs is going to bounce around momentarily at the top middle of the stairwell. There's going to be a little bit of a stalemate down bottom for the drop shot. And you can see multiple players from Fire and Ice spawning. There's going to be a little bit of a split push. One player is going to push toward the stairwell where Solurs is. The other 3 players are going to press up, try to get the pick onto that drop shot. They get the quick kill on Demise and the early pick on the drop. They're going to be able to rotate that into this hill. And they need to get a kill here early. Solurs, though, with a double kill, settles down 2. Drop shot misses everybody. Solurs tries to wiggle-waggle up to one player. Doesn't get it to go. Toti is the last player to have a shot at breaking into this first hill. Doesn't get it to go. And there's a big difference right now for me in what we saw in maps 1 through 3 is the aggression out of multiple players from Hive, because we haven't seen them play Speyer yet tonight, and I love the way the aggression has come out of Hive early in this map.
Absolutely. I mean, watching Speyer for the first time is incredible. I mean, Hive starts off strong. They really do. 38-point lead, now 40. They're going to get pressured in, though, kind of angled out. That's player 6, TJ. But if he dies again, it's almost doing him a favor because he's going to be respawning back up with his teammates. And matter of fact, TJ puts up one hell of a fight with the help of the Lancer Fire from INZEM and Co. That wasn't even really a guaranteed elimination. So Hive, they're going to go ahead and rotate back and assist their team as the next hill is going to be up. And I believe Hive is going to be the first one in there, but it's going to already be a battle. Yeah, Fire and Ice has established themselves within this hill too. So it's going to be a scrappy one.
Coming into this next hill, good little down there for Toti. I love the way that he was aggressive to the backside of the hill. What he's got now is an angle on these 2 players playing the safety guardrail. Here comes Fearzly rolling up with him. Down's coming out, though, because they've gone for the X angle here. You can see them playing from the 90 degree. They have to push up here. They have to go for the double shot, shotgun down. Demise will get killed off here by Dyslexic. Dyslexic and Xploidz have one more player to worry about in front of them. That's going to be INZEM trying to go for this wrap shot. INZEM, though, with the back A. Gets one. Now the help comes from the 6 o'clock angle. INZEM gets the second as well. Hive have definitively taken over the edge in this hill. I'm going to be able to set up and stop anybody from Hive or from Fire and Ice trying to come into this retake. 5 more seconds, though, on the drop. Nades, the middle of the map being weighted over by Fire and Ice. They're going to be looking to have all of the power weapons coming into this next retake attempt.
And if this retake attempt is successful, they're going to have 30 or so points going their way, but they're still not pushing forward. But the big thing is, Colin, they're keeping the hill contested. Fearzly hits TJ with an absolute brick, but TJ answers back, but taking him down. Well done. Again, TJ, the X factor for this roster. If Speyer goes well, it's because TJ is performing exponentially well inside the hills. I want him to be in the hills and attacking hard. You said on the outside. For me, TJ provides value on the inside. Either way, though, he's kind of playing like an all-around player, and I got to say, it's working out for the best. Xploidz still hasn't used a drop shot. It's literally deja vu. This time, does he use it, though?
Here we come into the next hill. I would love to see Xploidz actually decide to use the drop this time instead of...
Oh, he did.
Oh, he already got it off. So
he just used it on the...
Yeah, he used it on the back
corner, yep.
the back left corner. Okay, thank God.
Right.
So he did use it. He did get a kill instead of dropping it due to a meat shield and was able to, well, basically neutralize it because he drops it. Nobody picks it up, but good little retake here by Fire and Ice. They're set up over the hill. Hive does have the close respawn. Hive has to figure out how they're going to push into this situation because you either got to come straight across the street where you're going to get shot up and taken down pretty easily from the front side of this hill, or you can try to rotate and spread across the map, trying to spread the numbers of Fire and Ice as well. Fearzly is a little bit damaged here. INZEM with a misroll. He rolls straight back into that cover. Good second shot there by Fearzly. Gets the down here. Gets up-aid, though, by TJ. TJ gets answered back, though. He gets taken down. 2 players dead. Now a 3rd player is down, crawling around. Demise, can he get revived here before Toti moves up into the spot to get the kill on him? 20 more seconds.
Nice.
Actually has this thing tied up and knotted back up for Fire and Ice.
Yeah, just like before the restart, Fire and Ice has, in fact, come back. They did the same thing before. And, you know, maybe that's Hive is just showing their strong suits off of the start, where, at least off the first early hills, where Fire and Ice is doing a much better job off the corner hills. That could very well be the case. This time around, though, Xploidz will get the frags. Drop shot's going to go to the way of Solurs. And the new hill is, in fact, going to be up. And who's going to be the first team to establish themselves over there? Well, it might be Hive. In the moment, it is, in fact, going to be Hive. Fire and Ice is choosing to go through the middle section of the map, Colin. That's going to be Toti and co. That could prove to be pretty difficult. And Solurs with the drop is going to be great for getting dyslexic. Oh, no! It's a bit short. It connects, and he loses his life. What a play from Solurs in the opposite, just totally bad way. That was the worst case scenario. You take your teammate out, then you get finished off, and you literally gift Fire and Ice to Fresh Hill.
Taking a chance with that drop, and it does not pay off for him. Now you're going to see Xploidz has both frag grenades to be able to use to try to take anybody out that mounts up onto that window. First frag to the backside. They don't get enough damage on that player as he tries to rotate out of that position. I don't know if you can kiss that nade off the glass well enough to be able to get it to explode anybody. I've heard it get thrown, and I don't think anybody died from it, so I do believe it has been used. At least I believe I heard. Still got it? No, I don't see it. He don't got it. He don't got it. He already did throw it, but he didn't get any damage or downs with it, so it's a pretty much useless set of frags. I mean, wasted power weapon position right now. Solurs, top side of the map. Double downs coming through. They're going to clean up both players on that windowsill and get some points back in the situation. They will take the lead here momentarily with 25 points left to go on it. Next hill is up here where Dyslexic is. Dyslexic going for an early rotation onto it. 2 more players are going to be coming through that church hill. And you see Toti gets shot on and taken down to the backside. They need to be able to pay attention, though, to this next hill's position. You see one player at the top middle stairwell. He's going to try to lancer up anybody rotating over here from the front side. It's going to be incumbent upon INZEM to lancer out player number 4. Fearzly's going to be the first to the fight, and if he gets any help in this situation from his teammates, they could push into this hill quite quickly.
Yeah, like you said, INZEM's going to be the tip of the spear, which he quite normally is. Toti getting the fresh frags is going to be great for Fire and Ice as a whole, depending. And I believe, yeah, oh no, Xploidz going to be dropped. That's a good read from Hive. They're doing a great job. They've got all angles covered. That includes power weapons, nades, as well as the fresh hill. This is going to be a great lead for Hive. They can just hold on a little bit longer. Xploidz picking up TJ. That's going to be a solid start. Like you mentioned, INZEM, though, is going to be just up ahead. Frags are going to be thrown. INZEM has to reposition himself. Maybe the second one goes into the cubby. No, INZEM goes for the challenge. Nade connects onto Solurs. Best case scenario for Fire and Ice. They break through the defensive setup. And Hive, 35 seconds. Is it even worth it to go for this hill? It's not. Fire and Ice should read the situation for what it is and rotate off, leaving one player behind.
They've started to do that. One player is pushing through the chapel now, trying to get through the backside of the spawn. He's trying to mark anybody up over here. He's going to gather some intel. He now knows that one player is here. Here comes Toti. He's going to mount up on this side of the map too. So 2 players coming through the chapel. Actually, they're going to rotate 1 player down to the middle of the map. And the 4th player, the final player, Xploidz, is going to rotate through the chapel. Xploidz has the drop on his back right now. You use it to try to get a kill here. Oh, 3-player push through the side of the map. Lancers are out. Snub in the hand of Xploidz. Here's the drop. Go ahead and boy, you gotta get a little spicy with that drop, brother. You gotta be willing to use it.
Yeah, honestly, he's being way too passive and ends up blowing it, shooting it way too far away. And the cherry on top for Hive is Solurs is putting up one hell of a fight and wins the 1v2. Not a good spot at all for Hive, for Fire and Ice at this point. Either way, Dyslexic does get some of the points, but chooses to challenge through mid. That's going to be Solurs trying to rotate in. And I don't know about that. What do you think? I mean, should Dyslexic have stayed in the hill and garnered like 5, 6, 7 points? Or do you think it was worth it to challenge mid as he did? Clearly, it's not paying off at the moment.
Well, if they can get a couple of more kills right here, especially if they can finish off one of these downs in the middle of the map, they can pinch out these last 2 players from Fire and Ice, and it becomes a little bit worth it because you spread your forces to try to get some kills. Xploidz goes for another pick on the drop, and they almost give up 3 straight drop shots over to the side of Fire and Ice. Dyslexic goes for 1A. Dyslexic goes for another up A. Won't be able to get either of them to connect. He gets killed off of the backside of the hill. 20 more seconds will get Hive up over the 200-point marker. It looks like they're going to leave 1 player in that situation. That's going to be INZEM playing back. Unsure about that one, but I do think Demise has to be the tip of the spear for Hive. He's got the drop shot. He needs to be able to use this to get a kill, maybe a pick here. And I think with that mark, I think they're basically marking him out. They're trying to mark out Demise to try to know that the drop is where it is. 1 kill on the opposite side. Solurs will get revived in the middle of the map. They've put a lot of their pressure to the front side of the map. These 2 players inside of the chapel have to rotate up onto the 3 players. They have to be able to keep in a position where they can Lancer out, try to stop these players from coming in. Xploidz pushing straight up on the cubby corner. Won't be able to find anybody. Nades out. Won't be able to get any downs or damage. And here comes the fly and die by Hive. They're going to go straight across the backside of the map. Dyslexic gets a down on Demise. Now rotates in. Xploidz very fast and very quick to the punch. Now TJ playing on that stairwell. Gets 1, but gets taken down. Beautiful respawn coming through for Fire and Ice, where that player respawned to the 90-degree angle, was able to help get shots on. Now Solurs trying to play through the front side of the hill. Will get 2v1, then Xploidz now again respawns wide on him, and he gets shot in the back. That's 2 pretty terrible takes for the Hive in that situation. And this almost becomes a game of 190 to 210. Are you rotating over to the next hill? 10 seconds left on the frag grenades, 20 left on the drop shot. Need to get a couple of kills to be able to get those power weapons in your favor. It's going to be up to Solurs to try to get a win here on the backside of those stairwells. Gets 1. Fearzly in front of him. Little up base shot. Will get Lancer down. Beautiful job. Big team fight happening on the actual hill itself. Won by Fire and Ice, and now they've got to worry about the respawned power weapons across the middle of the map.
This next hill is going to make or break either team, quite honestly. I think it has the potential to hurt Fire and Ice a little bit more, given the fact that they are down 30 points at this given time. But for Hive, they could set themselves up for success, but also put Fire and Ice back into the driver's seat, depending. So this next hill is going to be a pretty big one, to say the least. Dyslexic is going to be inside the hill. Solurs just passes up the drop shot, but doesn't feel too confident to pick it up at the moment. Putting this pressure on Dyslexic should allow for Hive to maybe rotate a member back, but you gotta watch out. Player 2 is going to be on your flank. That's going to be Toti. Toti is going to find a bit of an off angle. Doesn't have as much of an impact as I thought he would. The snub fire is not going to matter too much. He doesn't even get it down. And in my opinion, that's a huge wasted opportunity from Toti.
And now you're going to allow people to move up into the library. Solurs is down. Here comes the extra rolls. Demise, is he going to get the kill? No, he's not going to use the drop on Xploidz. Xploidz is going to bounce around. I think Xploidz is going to try to find Demise, try to find a down on him to get the drop shot out of the hands of Demise. Quick pick onto those extra shotgun shots. Toti playing into the back into the spawn position. Drop shot, picture perfect. Gets 1 and damage onto Dyslexic. Dyslexic double bounce. Won't be able to find that kill. Goes to the backside bounce. Won't be able to get that either. Front side of the hill is going to be Xploidz playing up into this position now. Trying to play his life. Double bounce in. Gets the down there onto TJ and will continue to be able to play safely because he is not damaged at all. I mean, they barely hit him, but finally the double shot comes through. Fearzly plays through the backside of the hill. Gets that kill. They will be able to take the lead back, though, with these final 16 seconds on this one. It looks like Hive is starting to try to rotate over to the next hill. They got 3 players in the area already. And they're going to have to play defense here. It's going to be 3v3 early in this next hill's defensive stand.
Yeah, it's a big hold for Hive. It really is. The drop shot frag's not going to have an impact here, so it's going to be all about wolf packing in and playing together as a team and hitting your shots. INZEM, once again, the tip of the spear, as he so often is going to lose his life, question mark? Yeah, he will. He's going to be finished off. Fire nice, good team pickups, but my lord, yeah, just that Lancer fire is just incredible. Something that Hive is obviously going to be hugely favored on. Solurs hitting every shot. TJ feeling confidently to push up into Dyslexic. Again, this is a big hold from F&I, but I don't know if they're going to be able to because Hive, that firepower, that team fire was just incredible.
Frag grenades coming out of the Chapel Hill right now. One player is going to rotate through the spawn area. He's going to have shots on in the backside. Here comes one grenade. It's going to go to the front side of that globe. The second grenade has been thrown as well, I believe. I don't see him holding on to it. Good pincer movement from the side of Fire and Ice. Fearzly goes down. Solurs is going to pick the meat shield finally. He's going to try to trade out with one, but Hive is down in the front of the map, in front of the hill as well. 30 seconds left on this. Gets Fire and Ice to 290. Once again, Hive extraordinarily gamey, extraordinarily good, giving it their best effort, but it looks like they might just fall short yet again in control. They get their point lead all the way up to 240 or so, but now I have Fire and Ice back-to-back retakes, just too good.
I feel like, though, when it comes to Speyer, Colin, this is a map that could be very unforgiving. Fearzly showing a little bit of love to TJ while he still can, but you haven't won just yet, big boy. You got to make sure you collapse in and make those 5 points count. Hive can 100% still, honestly, Hive can win off of this hill. Do I see it happening? I don't, because it's a hill that can be easily contested. Fearzly hitting some great shots. This might be the final break. Fire and Ice starting to tick away at the victory. Colin, I think you're right. When it comes to Hive, they might suffer a close loss here, but you got to give them credit. They are fighting hard to stay alive.
Both players from Fire and Ice spawn on that side of the map. You see Xploidz trying to rotate over to his teammate's respawn position. They get the kills. They're going to be able to settle up here in the moment. The Chapel spawn is coming out. Solurs trying to get either of those players down. Quick revive out from Demise onto Solurs. Won't be able to get enough, though, to go for him to be able to save his teammate. Bouncing up. Big L triggers out. Look at Dyslexic, though, in the middle of the map. They get the kills. They get the hill. They retake it. Fire and Ice win this 3-1, and I think right there at the end, it's an ill-advised retake by Demise. You have to just settle your tea kettle, try to get into a spot where you can't get crossed out. You sometimes got to sacrifice your teammate to the gods and just give up the positioning to stay at that hill, fight over the objective. TJ and Solurs with 20K apiece, by the way.
Yeah, no, they were playing so very well. TJ, got to compliment him, I really do, despite taking the L to Fire and Ice. TJ was inside the hills, he was out the hills, he was rotating well, he was really firing on all cylinders, quite honestly. Solurs backing him up just equally as well. Those two players putting in a ton of work, but you need the rest of your teammates to step it up if you want to be successful. Fire and Ice, that's a great victory. They had the lead going into or before the restart. They had the lead after the restart, and they naturally win it. So, you know, not 2 wins necessarily, but it comes to show they are consistent. But that early game did hurt them, Colin. That early game hurt them a lot. If Hive would have stayed consistent like they were off the start, they would have won that pretty easily. But Fire and Ice found a way to come back.
I think that's the difference in what we see in a certain few teams right now. Hive has a great initial 2 different control maps, and they end up sizzling it away. If Fire and Ice gives up that kind of an early lead to a team like Vanquish, a team like Rise, a team like United, it's just I don't think you see that same kind of fight, that same kind of comeback out of Fire and Ice against those types of teams. These are the things that Hive still have to clean up in certain situations to be able to be considered, you know, one of those top tier echelon teams. Their record says it right now, but they're about to play into the meat of their schedule. The games are only going to get harder as we get closer and closer to that major.
And that major is coming up pretty quickly, and we're starting to see some new life from some teams that were relatively inconsistent. Again, E United getting a phenomenal victory tonight over Rise. Fire and Ice beating Hive is impressive. Say what you will about Hive being inconsistent. As of recently, they've been playing very well. And I think even tonight, Colin, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think they played really well tonight too. I think, again, Fire and Ice just played better, and we talked about that earlier.
Really, and Fire and Ice did play better throughout the entire series, except for the escalation, and it took a pretty Herculean effort by Hive. They had to spread the fight. They had to use their best ability, which is how good they are individualistically, to keep Fire and Ice away from those team fight situations, to keep them away from the fights that they're more adjusted to. Take a look at that, though. 300 to 258, 300 and 261. Hive gets a little bit better in the second control, but again, Hive gets up to that 250 point marker. I think it was 230 when things started to slip away from them, and it was back-to-back hills. We're about 230 points into the bag for Hive, and then they just fizzle out. They fall to pieces toward the late game of those controls. Congratulations winning the round 9 on that Escalation, though, against the team that both of us thought were going to be better than you at Escalation on training ground.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles for them tonight, and I really think that this is a good showing for Fire and Ice, especially going forward, because that gets them one step closer to the top of the leaderboard. They're continuing to fight back, even after a completely rough start for them.